All right, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Tank Talk. I am James Star, aka Relics, and with me, of course, is Kirill Soviet Bondar. Hello, Soviet.
Привет.
And right below me here is David Nagatron Williams.
Hi.
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 All right, so we have a pretty slim episode today. I unfortunately didn't get a lot of time to prepare a lot of stuff, but we have all kinds of tournament things going on, lots of tournaments closing up, so I figure that'll be our main discussions for the day. Um, and obviously, we also have patch 8.6 has been out for a little over, what, 2 weeks now? It's going on 2 weeks now, I think. Um, no, going on, this is the first week of it over. Yeah, yeah. But we've been able to, play a lot of artillery, play a lot of tanks, get a lot of experience on as far as what these changes are going to mean for everybody. So we'll have a little bit of discussion about that, see what everybody's opinions are so far. So let's go ahead and start out with the big thing is the 15th anniversary tournament that just ended, which was really fast played through. Kind of a bit of a cluster, but I think it was overall really fun. Obviously, the big prize of that being the trip to Minsk in August or something for the 15th year anniversary. Hi, Kat.
Hey.
Nice.
Oh, hey.
Oh.
Let's let's get out of here now. Sorry, dude. I've been trying to get him out of here. All right.
You know, it was eventually one episode he was going to get up there and do something like that. It's just been like waiting for
I was
all
talking
nine
about it last
episodes.
night.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like, he's never actually popped up on there, and
Yeah.
then
He probably heard that and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you."
instant when we went live, he started messing with me. Continue.
So, 15th year
Show.
anniversary. So the big prize is the trip to Minsk in August to celebrate the 15th year anniversary. I believe each region has their own thing. So let's talk a little bit about that tournament. Starting out with you, Soviet. What did you think about that tournament overall?
I thought it was an interesting format. It was a bit rushed, so we knew that, it had to be over quick because while obtaining the documentation and everything is going to take a bit of time. And yeah, I believe it's planned for first weeks of August. So I look forward to that, of course. But I liked how it was done with the pool play. It kept, the games quick. It didn't stretch out over 2 or 3 weeks. It was, the pool play was done, and off we go into the playoffs, two rounds, I think two or three rounds in the playoffs, and that's pretty much it. So very well done there. I think the only mix-up was they did have to reschedule it or something a couple times because, well, Nvidia. So as long as Wargaming does a better job next time, scheduling wise, it should be a pretty good format to follow, a good precedent.
So if I'm not mistaken, it was two different pools that we ended up going through for that tournament, right? There was like an initial qualifying pool, and then there was a secondary qualifying pool. Do I
three
remember that right?
days of 3 days of pools, but two separate pools. So we had the initial pool, which was then so it stripped out like teams that didn't have people, brand new teams that were doing well, that kind of thing. And then they moved it into 2 days of pool play, which was supposed to be like one day of 16 matches, I think, and then they turned it into 2 days of 8 matches, which I thought was cool. The only difference there being that you played the same teams twice on no, they actually changed the maps, so we got
Yeah,
that taken care of.
yeah. It was going to be initially on the same map if I remember right, but
Yeah, that wouldn't have been very cool.
yeah. So did you guys like the whole like double qualifier pools, like the stream of pools to narrow it down rather than just having like a one giant bracket play? Do you think that worked out a little bit better?
I think for where we are as a league in North America right now, it's the better way to do it, bar none. Just because otherwise you get these weird sorting issues, and then one side of the bracket has 3 or 4 of the finalists, and then those people knock each other out early, or yeah, and the other side has a free run all the way to the finals, something like that. That's what tends to happen when we go with a really large bracket. So when we get
Hmm.
into pool play, it's sorted down a lot more. So that's
Yeah.
obviously better.
So when we got to the actual playoffs, if I remember right, the playoffs were actually double elimination as well, weren't they?
Yep, they were.
Um,
And
Go ahead.
And one thing about the pool play that I wanted to mention is it's nice to actually have a string of games rather than, one round, and those three games can be over under, 15 minutes theoretically. So you get in there, you play those games, and you're done for, another 2 days that you have to wait if if they alternate days. So it was very nice in that regard. And well, yeah, and then we went into the quarterfinals, I think, right away, where it was double elimination playoff.
Yeah, so what did you guys think about the competition through it? I thought it was really good, just the way it ended up narrowing down that all the teams that were remaining seemed like they were pretty good quality. We had good battles all the way throughout. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, definitely. What was very interesting throughout the pool play was noting how many teams were taking on a lot better strategies, viable strategies. You weren't seeing tank destroyers a lot on Himmelsdorf and stuff like that, where it's just kind of a gimme to a team that knows how to play those maps a little bit better.
Hmm.
Um, but I think overall it was nice because everybody played more teams than they would have otherwise had we just done one bracket, right? So like Soviet was saying, there's a lot more gameplay to begin with, but you played a wider variety of teams. So more people played each other, and then there's double elimination. So one night didn't ruin it for you. And I think
Hmm.
that really helps guarantee that there are no complaints and that everybody can feel confident knowing that they had the best chance they could have, and whoever won it or whoever got second, third, fourth, whatever, truly deserved those positions because everybody played just about everybody and double elim.
Yeah. What did you think about the double elimination setup, Soviet?
Well, it kind of carried on for a while, I think. So the brackets ended up going until like 1 a.m., I think. There was a few issues as well, I believe, with certain teams taking a little bit long in one of the rounds and one of the matchups. What I did like was, and big hat off to Oscar for sticking around, and he was sitting there in channel, making sure that if players were done or if teams were done, there's an hour break between rounds, and if they were both done and they were willing to play earlier, he could have edited the times and started the matches early. Of course, I don't think he'll be doing that much more because it did end up kind of creating a bit of confusion, a bit of a mess there, I think, towards the end. So, uh, but otherwise, I mean, other than the duration and perhaps maybe moving the time a little earlier, but then it's it's tough with Pacific time and
Hmm.
East Coast. We're talking about it with the league as well, right? The league now that's starting 9 p.m. is decided to be the point of start for the East Coast. So, but double elimination, if they were to add just one more day, I think it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I think the issues that we got into there at the end were more of a result of lack of rules. 742 very specifically has a draw rule for that exact reason. And
Yeah.
without any solid criteria, there was a little bit of noise about sportsmanship and things like that in camping and whatnot. But without solid criteria to disqualify one of the two teams, are you really going to get let number one, us in this case, just win because the other two drew each other out?
Right.
That doesn't really work either, right? So you need to make sure that you have the draw rule or some sort of draw rule put in there. And truly, I think in the finals, one of the best things you can do is truly make it best of six, or it was best of five, is what they're trying to do, which there is a gigantic difference between first to three and best of five. Best of five is if you win one game and then draw four, you still won because you had the best of five.
Hmm.
First to three is very different. And that's what we ended up getting into. It was listed as best of five. They tried to play first to three, which I think originally it was supposed to be first to two for the losers bracket,
Hmm.
and it got a little messy. So that forced Oscar to have to kind of be in a position where he couldn't really make a solid decision. But I think overall it's a good thing that he's there babysitting it with a broken arm, might I add. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
He had a
Wow.
broken arm. That's why, and so he is having to type to everybody, raging out all the time with one
With
hand.
one hand. That's awesome.
Wow. Wow.
That's
Uh,
dedication there.
One thing I wanted to mention is referees. I think once, especially with the main league starting off, we're going to see some players or perhaps entities become referees in the game, so that it's going to be easier for the administrators of the tournament to actually defer to them, and then they say, and then if they all agree, let's say two or three people, then that's the call. What do you think of that? What do you think of refereeing in general?
I think there at least needs to be some kind of empowerment for whoever's overseeing it to make a decision that'll affect like like the draws that we had that extended out for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
I mean, there has to be some kind of empowerment to stop that from happening.
remember, like that night, we actually dove into the rules of tournaments in general, and we started analyzing them. And really, if you dissect all of them, they don't have a clear, final sentence saying, you know what, Captain Judo, will make the final decision. Dot. You know.
Yeah.
Well, there is a little bit of room for interpretation in there. There's a little bit of elasticity where Judo or Farquaad could just make a decision. I think they refuse to do it on a lot of times for probably pretty good reasons most of the time. I mean, you don't want to get into that mess. As far as referees go, unfortunately, the only people I'd really be comfortable with judging one of those final decisions would be Farquaad or Oscar, Farquaad or Judo in that instance, because you start getting players from the community, that kind of thing. I've seen some
Yeah.
opinions that just do not promote fair play in any sort of way, and I just don't know. It would really depend on who the refs are, a lot.
I think the best example we had was in WCG where we had those official reps there that were covering all the teams and were pretty no
Yes.
nonsense.
Well, and then there was Lorenz, right? The
Yeah.
uh, the head for the World of Tanks referees at WCG, and he knew
Hmm.
the game. Like, especially for considering how much he'd played. I think he'd only played like 3,000 games or something like that, and he understood how that esport needed to run. And I think he did work with Farquaad a bit about that and that kind of thing. So he was there to make no nonsense decisions very quickly. He started enforcing camping rules and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'd be totally fine with him being a ref.
Yeah, exactly. Or if anything, I mean, maybe Wargaming can get back in contact with him and be like, okay, what are your opinions on the various rules that we need in place to make
Have him
this more
train people or
professional?
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, so in case you didn't catch it, I don't think I said it. We did end up winning the 50th anniversary, so all your Fulcrum boys will be going to Minsk, and Soviets going to translate everything for us. Everything.
Yay.
He'll be our little automatic book, where you type stuff in to say stuff.
Soviet, what'd she say? She said, "Get the hell away from me, American boy."
Yep.
She said, "Why is Hugo's shirt so tight? Is that American fashion?
Is he wearing sandals?
Are those women's clothes?"
Oh, that was
Good times.
rudo.
Good times. All right, so let's talk about the next big tournament that ended, which is the Major League, the very first spring season, um, which we ended up also being the winners of. Let's talk a little bit first of all about the overall formats of the initial pool play. Obviously, my biggest complaint through the pool play is just that we didn't get to play everybody. But I think we probably would have ended up at about the same point for who was in the top eight. What did you guys think about the pool play portion of the major league?
I agree with you completely. Um, but I think it was limited to 12 out of 16.
Hmm.
I think is how many we played. Um, I think that was done for time purposes, not necessarily because they didn't want everybody to play each other, but I think they had a general idea of when they wanted the new league to start, how qualifiers would run, that kind of thing. And then they were like, well, let's put in the major league as a holder until we can get the pro league going after the whole IPL thing fell apart. And they just had a specific amount of time, so they tried to make it fit.
Hmm.
That's what I think. I haven't heard anything about it, but
That makes total sense because I mean you don't make a deal like what the WGLNA is um, on short notice. Like they've probably been working on that for months, so it would make sense for them to put in something kind of stopgap for now to at least get us games. What did you think, Soviet?
Pool play? Well, I would rather play some of the top teams right off the go, just to have some fun with that. But it was unfortunate that a lot of teams maybe didn't take it as serious in the beginning, which kind of, was a slow start to the whole major league. And then all of a sudden, now they're like, face palming basically because they're like, oh, top eight get into WGLNA, and now we have to qualify again. Perhaps that should have been made clear from the beginning of the Major League Series. If there were plans for that, we know that there was a star next to the prizes. that we still don't really know officially, but I guess unofficially that did mean qualification. But only top three were supposed to get it. So, um, yeah, I mean, I agree with Negatron though. It would have been nice to have to play all the teams, so that there's no threads on the forums popping up saying that, oh, we played only the top teams while the top teams only played the bottom teams, even though there was no top or bottom teams from the beginning, right?
Right.
Everybody was starting off at 0-0 records, so just the way it worked out, there was no ELO rating used or anything like that. So
It was just random draw.
yeah. I like your exposure setting today, Relics. Going
My
for that endo look.
super bright. Yeah. I'm currently working on an airport, as a light, so just helping guide those planes. That's all.
Good.
Did you read that in chat or something, and you're like, "Oh, this will be funny. I'll say that."
I thought
No, it's
perhaps
just
you were an understudy for the moon in an upcoming play.
Just stick my head out there. Yeah.
it's just distracting. I keep seeing it with the corner of my eye, and I'm like, what is that white thing moving around on my monitor?
You guys are so mean. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. All right, let's move off of my bright and shiny head and move on to the playoff portion of this.
Just read DYT's comment. His five head is pretty bright.
Five head.
One more than a forehead.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a single widow's peak. It's just giant.
Inverse.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so playoffs. Let's go and talk about it a little bit. Bleh. So it was the top 8 teams that ended up in the playoffs, battling out. I don't remember if there was double elimination in that too. I don't think there was.
No,
It was
no.
single elimination all the way through. So
Yep.
what did you guys think about the competition through the playoff? Did you think the top 8 that we fought against were definitely worthy opponents all the way through?
Yeah. I think it was pretty clear that the eight that made it through in the playoffs, although I don't think they were seeded correctly, but that's not necessarily due to anything that Wargaming did, but because of those teams showing up or not playing each other, or not showing up or not playing each other, whatever. Um, I think the top eight will were the best that were there. Best. My cat is trolling the hell out of me.
I I was
Best they had to offer.
I was
Dude,
pleasantly surprised with Blood and Thunder and Last Orchestra. Those I think we have not seen before, especially that deep in any tournament. I don't think. Well, at least the ones that we've played in. We faced off against Blood and Thunder, and then we went into Simply Plaid, and of course Simp for the final. Uh, oh wait, are we? I'm in the right one. No, I'm not in the right one.
No, you were not.
I was looking at the wrong tournament.
We were against Wreak Havoc in the end.
Wreak Havoc in the end. Yeah. Well,
Not Wreck Havoc.
that
I thought we were talking about classic, not or majors, not
majors,
15.
majors, majors. Yeah. Well, close. But what I was surprised about was well, Negatron said it pretty much very well. Is Wreak Havoc being seeded number 7 was pretty definite. Uh, they're definitely not number 7 seed.
Oh yeah.
And they showed that again. Strike White May doing very good in this season. I look forward to seeing them hopefully in the majors, even though I've seen them kind of being disgruntled about, not the majors, I'm sorry, the WGLNA. I've seen them being disgruntled about it on the forums, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Hmm.
But yeah, Simp getting eliminated by Wreak Havoc definitely made the quarterfinals interesting. And then semifinals, Strike White May getting knocked out by Wreak Havoc. And then, of course, that set up the matchup for Fulcrum Gaming versus Wreak Havoc. And hopefully you guys saw it. It was a bit disappointing that, the stream didn't happen live. It wasn't casted. Clutch was having issues with Twitch, like I was having issues yesterday. So today, as Relics, you probably saw, the XSplit had an update saying that they are fixing that. And hopefully that won't happen again. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
playoffs, awesome stuff, and you can catch the recording I think on Clutch's YouTube channel
Yeah,
for that.
I'll try to put a link for it. I was going to add it to our playlist of like WCG and everything else that we have off other people's sites. So hopefully you'll be able to see it on our channel in that playlist soon.
Well, we do have it on Facebook, so
Oh
if you
yeah,
guys haven't
that
seen
too.
it yet and you want to check it out, some American action in 742 format, especially in a high stake fight like that on Runeberg, check it out. Falcon Gaming versus Wreak Havoc there on Facebook.
Yeah, I thought they were very interesting matches to go back through and watch. So hopefully everybody will enjoy that. So obviously at the end of that, we won that one. So it's been a big week for us so far. I mean, we had the 15th anniversary, we had the majors. Um, and overall, it was a really good week. We have the classic still going on, which if you haven't caught that stream, definitely do. Soviet does a great job streaming all the way through that. You get to listen to our comms and everything. And I think it's been pretty interesting so far. I watched it again yesterday just to see it from your perspective, what everybody else is doing. So I think we have 3 more weeks of that left.
Two.
Two
So
more?
we're going into semifinals and then finals
Okay.
because
Cool.
I scheduled my little trip right afterwards just to make sure that I don't miss anything. So yeah,
Need that gold. Cool.
yeah,
So we'll have that this Sunday, and then the finals next Sunday. Then, right?
right.
So
Semifinals, yep, and then finals, and we will most likely skip live casting it or broadcasting it on this Sunday. We'll record it locally and then have like an hour early start next week when it's the finals, and we have semifinals and finals at the same time because it is the same map. So
uh,
yeah,
look,
we want to make
look
sure
at
that
you! Look at you thinking ahead. Yeah.
well, it was you were gone and me and David were talking about it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Good
yeah,
thinking.
you're D&D.
Good thinking, David. I'm sure it was all you. All right, let's go ahead and move off of that then, and we'll talk about the new big thing. Obviously, we have the big announcement now. We didn't get to talk about it last week because we didn't do an episode, but we have the Wargaming League North America, the official cash league for North America. They're going to be 4 seasons a year, culminating in a big international event for. Um,
It was three.
is it 3? I thought it was 4. It
I
could be
think
3.
it's three.
Okay. Well, okay, 3 seasons and then culminated in one that's going to be international tournaments where all of the victors, or, well, probably the top ranking people from each of those leagues are going to meet up for kind of like a Euro steel style where, the best teams
Gra-
all get together.
Grand final in Poland is what we know about already. Well, I don't think it has been said official. Actually, WGLNA people said that it's Poland. So
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that too. So, what have you guys thought about it so far? Obviously, yesterday we had the like entire day long cast of the qualifiers so far. So obviously we have the first qualifiers where 4 people get in, and we have a second qualifiers where another 4 people get in, and then we have the 8 teams from the other major league. What have you guys thought about the qualifiers so far?
I think it's really exciting to watch in general. I mean, finally seeing a full put together show, professional casting, professional cameras, all the technology, all the equipment that goes into their stream in general is just phenomenal. Obviously, Chance the esports dog, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Brewkill's doing a great job. So I look forward to everybody getting better, everything cleaning up, and um, I think it's going to be hands down the best stream out there in English, at least. I don't know Russian, so I can't really comment on Bukra and Tafa, but Soviet says they're awesome.
That's what I hear.
well, yeah, experience is going to be hard to beat, but at the
That's
same
real
time,
true.
it's going to be easy to catch up as well to at least similar level. And we already saw it even towards the end of yesterday. Rookhill kind of came out and started going at it much better than in the beginning. And
He was a little
the guys,
nervous.
yeah,
Little
and the
nervous.
guys, Clutch and Gretorp, they're
Gritorp.
getting the yeah, they're getting the hang of tanks. Tanks does have a special rhythm to it that you gotta feel as a caster. You know that something is coming. You gotta feel that anticipation. Make sure you have the cameras queued up to the right spots, and then when it does go, you gotta be ready for it. You can't just miss that moment because that's pretty much it's gonna decide the fight. So I'm sure it's just going to keep getting better. We did. Well, I tried to provide as much feedback as I could to the guys, and I'm sure all of you guys are as well. David
Hmm.
and Relics, you guys are always with them, chatting, and I hope our viewers as well are following the WGLNA channel on Twitch, making sure that you don't miss a beat of that. And To be honest, I already suffered my first day because I stayed up till like midnight watching last night, and then today, pretty much from 10 in the morning, the Russian league was on. So I have Twitch channels open pretty much 24/7 now. So
There goes all of
it's
Soviet's production.
yeah,
That's a good problem to
it's
have, though. I mean, think about
it's
how
been
long we've had nothing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, and it was a pleasure to see, on the channel, especially now that we have a dedicated English North American region, people that are joining, they know that this is in English. They're asking questions. They're asking about the game. They're like, "Oh man, I've never seen it." Uh, WGLNA is doing a great job having a ticker running that, hey, if you're new to the game, here's a little bit of gold. Start an account. Off you go. Something
Hmm.
we've been trying to do for a while. So, Farquad, about that promise back in
Get on it.
episode 2.
Yeah, get on it.
Yeah, episode 2 or 3 or something. Yeah. Well, we'll talk to him. But awesome, awesome stuff for the
Yeah.
game. The community is only going to grow because of this, and the level of professionalism and the level of seriousness that they're approaching it with is just perfect.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that we're gonna have something consistent going on over here. I mean, obviously we had the RU stuff, but I mean that's so early in the day that there's no way I can catch it. But it's nice, at night having constant stream of tournaments and being able to watch the North American teams and seeing how they improve. And, following the favorite teams and all that kind of stuff. I'm really looking forward to that over. I mean, the next several months. I mean, it's going to be a pretty consistent thing. I think it's Wednesday to Sundays when we actually get to, or Thursday to Sundays when we get to the like the regular teams and we're out of the qualifiers. I think right now it's Thursday through Sunday for like a couple weeks. But just that
It,
consistency of having something here to watch, I'm really looking forward to all that.
it's actually going to be the same. Qualifiers and regular gameplay is going to be Thursday through Sunday.
Ben said that it's going to be Thursday through Sunday instead of Wednesday through Sunday. Right now it's Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh,
You remember?
okay.
You remember yesterday when we were on the
Right.
stream and there was like these people playing tanks and
I this week I had a I'm disconnected from what day it is. So
today is Thursday.
okay,
If that
gotcha.
helps out.
Yep. Thank you.
um, so that'll change up a little bit, but at least we'll have something consistent that we can watch. And I think for the newer teams, this is going to be really important because then they can like watch. Okay, this map is Insk, and we get to see what they do, like what both sides do on that map, and maybe we'll have newer teams growing up a little bit faster and giving a lot more competition to some of these upper tier teams. So I'm looking forward to it. Any other comments on Wargaming League North America?
Say it real quick.
Wargaming League North America?
No, you're supposed to say
Wargaming.net League North America
Dang
World of
it! I
Tanks.
missed it.
Get
say
it right,
that.
son.
I I,
Get it
sh-
right.
I should have got it from the little commercial break part that you did.
This is Relics?
This is
And
Nagatron, and
yeah. Yeah, now imagine doing that 10 seconds after you've heard that line for the first time. All right, so say Nagatron, then say Wargaming.net League North America World of Tanks. Like, what? World of lots of words? Huh?
yeah, yeah.
World of Worlds.
But
World of Tank.
there's something going on.
There are some outtakes from that I think they're going to end up using that are pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah, there's one in particular where I'm like, World of Jesus Christ. And then Clutch just pops in the back and he's like, Jesus! Like, just like flying across the back.
I'm glad you guys had fun while you're out there.
Yeah, plus I got to throw flowers at Marcus, which you'll see later. I think.
Throw flowers at Marcus.
Yep.
I think that's what Relics has been dreaming of doing.
Yeah, my little basket of flowers and running through the fields. David got
Over
to
a
live that dream. He got to
over
live
a
it.
D&D board or whatever. What do you play on for D&D?
You don't play D&D on a board.
I don't know.
What
What
are
do
you
you do?
What are you
Your
talking about?
imaginations.
What do you Okay.
You got dice and you got your mind and stuff happens.
Yeah, but where do you throw
It's,
it?
it's magical. You throw it on a table.
Okay, well, on the table that says D&D
It's
over it.
not a board. It doesn't say D&D over it. It's like a kitchen table. Who has an
Come
entire
on,
table that
man.
says D&D on it?
You guys aren't lead enough then.
Oh, apparently. We need to get on
Okay.
Soviet's level, like if Soviet was playing D&D.
If I was playing D&D, dude, I'd have like a D&D headband and everything. I'd have like special, I don't know, shirt and
You're like a top secret Uber nerd.
Well, you'd have your, D&D face instead of, like poker face, D&D face.
Yeah.
Your ranger face, you'd have like ears and shit. I mean, things.
I start typing in chat, and then I start listening to you guys again, and we're still talking about D&D. Just
So I hear there is a patch 8.6 that has been out for a little over a week now, or going on a week now, and we've all played in it, I believe. So let's talk a little bit about accuracy and tanks so far. What is your guys' experiences so far in the tanks?
Awesome.
Awesome, good
love it
stuff.
for the most
Amazing.
part. Autoloaders, very nice. In general, any of those tanks where you shot it and the round would go to the outside of the reticle, and you're like, what the? That doesn't happen anymore. But there's a downside to that. We've
Oh,
talked about this a little bit.
show me the tears. Show me the tears, Nagatron.
Tank destroyers might actually be useful.
You just
I
like
don't know what I'm gonna do with my
destroyed
life.
destroyed the past 2 years of stuff you've built up. The
I play
tank
so I
destroyers are
play
crap.
1390 a couple times, right? And I'm like, there's one of them I'm driving through Corellia and I'm weaving through the middle of between a bunch of rocks, and from like 500 something meters away, I get sniped by a Foch, the tier 9 Foch. And I was like, what? So the next game, 268, same thing. Really long distance. Those things are going straight now. And I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. They're better than artillery. Like they're direct fire artillery. They can fire all the way across the map. It's
Yeah, that's going to be interesting on some of those open maps where you can get that good elevation to be able to shoot down on the map, and then you just need someone to spot for you. I don't know.
especially because I think due to some of the stuff they're doing, they might have to increase draw distance. We haven't been able to verify that yet,
Hmm.
but it's I bet you it's coming soon. And once draw distance is like as far as it should be, almost the whole map.
9.0,
Yeah,
I think, is
yeah.
what I heard.
Can you imagine like
The,
Fisherman's Bay with TDs with that patch?
I
That's that's where one of the ones I got sniped was all the way up in the northwest bluff, and I was like
Hmm.
going down the backside of the hill in the south, and I got hit by 268
Yeah.
at full speed. I was like, what the?
well, the travel time should be increased then, if that's the case for TDs. So it becomes more,
Slow their
like
shells down a little bit.
yeah, like Artie. Actual flight time is gonna have
Some,
to.
yeah, some of the ones that shoot heat, their rounds don't go too fast. Like I didn't get hit by a Foch 155 or anything, but you get those ones that shoot AP or APCR, and it's just, ugh, no,
Yeah.
no.
The draw distance, what I heard is, well, they're still limited by their engine, and there's not much they can do about it unless they want to break the engine. And definitely, on a working title, they're not going to do that. So 9.0 is actually going to see
Break
quite
it,
a significant, yeah,
break it.
where they're going to break it and they're going to say,
Whoops.
GG.
Just build a whole new one or something. I mean,
So, so there was the other mechanic that changed a lot, and that's camouflage. Did you guys notice any big changes with camouflage when you were playing? I didn't see a lot of big difference myself. People were saying there's bugs and everything, but
I've heard about some tanks that are spotted by your team and they're really close by and they're not rendering for people, but that's not a camo thing. That's just a bug. In terms of camouflage, I didn't really notice any real differences other than some TDs are nearly invisible at pretty close ranges, even while firing, due to some of the changes they made. They're certainly more invisible than, or less visible than other tanks around, but I didn't have any real problem with that. Then again, I don't really rely on camo that much just because when I play in pubs and I rely on that, I tend to get spotted and immediately die from like 12 people camping my one spot
yeah, sounds about right.
Uh,
because nobody's paying attention to Hugo for some reason.
That puppy luck.
I think I'm actually going to be dropping cam off of my cruise now that I've read a little bit more about the mechanics of it, and I'm still going to do my research over this weekend because if you guys haven't read yet, we do have the D-Day weekend special, and that's going to have a lot of discounts, awesome discounts on crew resets and stuff like that. So definitely a good time to take advantage of that. And my initial reports that I got from the party state that the factor of the tank sizes are is a big factor right now in camouflage, and heavier tanks don't benefit from camouflage anymore as they used to. So especially now that there's bushes. The bushes mechanic being reworked with two bushes no longer being in effect. You need now four bushes roughly to have the same effect. Um, well, that's going to change a lot for me. That's kind of the reason why I used camouflage in the beginning, was to make sure that I can have as much camo from double bush situations on certain maps, in pubs even. And now, well, not much need for it.
Yeah, interesting. It sounded like the stuff you add on was almost more effective for a lot of the larger tanks, like Camo Net being like extremely effective now, since it's based on class rather than the size of your tank or anything else, and it's just additive. I've been hearing that you throw a Camo Net on a Jag Tiger or something like that, and it just gets crazy camo bonuses now.
I think that's good. Camo net actually being useful for something for once instead of just kind of a superfluous bonus for
Yeah.
tanks that don't need it. It's a camo net.
Hmm.
It really should hide you, and especially if you're going to be trading a module for it, then yes.
Though I think they need to adjust the timers on it a little bit because it goes into effect really quick, in my opinion. Like
That's the other.
you need to
Go
come
ahead.
to a stop and give it a little bit of a more time than just off you go.
That's the other thing in general. Well, I mean, to kind of further illustrate your point, camo nets in real life took a little bit of time to deploy and add natural foliage and stuff like that in there to make them fully effective. So perhaps you could remove like the 5 second timer to when it works and just make it like a buildup, so it gets more effective over 5 seconds, something like that. Um, that was one thing about camouflage that back when there was only three skills, I always thought it was one of the most important ones because I just noticed that tanks that had full camo disappeared after they were spotted faster. And I can't verify that anymore. And as far as I know, they still have never released what determines how long it takes for a tank to disappear after it's been spotted. I know at one point it was released as random. Have you heard any other information than that?
Me?
I haven't.
Anybody?
Well,
You're the one with the Russian connections.
well, the things that I've heard are pretty much it's all tied to the system of checks, right? When the server does the spotting checks and whatnot. Other than that, the factors that are involved in it, no, haven't
Hmm.
no variables or anything.
I had previously heard that it was random, but I did notice that, when we were doing testing and stuff for Clan Wars and all that, the tanks that had full camo, they'd get despotted in like 3, 4 seconds after they weren't being actively spotted anymore. And the tanks that didn't, sometimes it was like 6, 7, long time. Um, so I used to think it was very important at that point in time, but now I don't use it nearly as much just because, like I was saying before, in tournaments, a lot of the tanks I play, once I'm spotted, and there's no re-hiding me. I'm not sniping from bush cover or anything. And in pubs, people don't seem to forget where I am anyways, so it doesn't really help all that much.
Yeah. So there was the other big change, obviously, is to artillery and such. I know, David, you played it quite a bit. I don't know how much you played Soviet. What do you think of the actual changes so far, David?
For the artillery,
Yeah.
I think low tier artillery is very strange. It's almost unusable at certain times.
That projectile speed, like,
And projectile speed's insane. It's so slow. But it's more just like the Bison now. Like you readjust and all of a sudden the reticle's the size of like the top of the hill on mines. And you're like, well, it's going to take a little bit to focus that down. So your
mhm.
guys have to be basically um, dead stop. And I don't really agree with that. I don't see why low tier already should be so much worse than high tier already, aside from the fact that it was previously kind of imbalanced about how much damage it does, and obviously with how it is right now, it's overpowered because you can just one shot tanks of your own tiers or a
Mhm.
couple above. Um, the GWP being moved to 7 is real nice. Artillery in general is a little bit less maneuverable in their tanks. Their traverse range, their gun traverse range, so how far they can move left and right, is smaller on every single tank I played. Their rounds travel slower. The accuracy is worse, like the size of the reticle is worse, but if you focus all the way, due to the new Gaussian distribution, the rounds travel closer to center. So tanks like the GWP, for example, it seems like it's more accurate, but it better be considering it takes a longer time to reload, longer time to aim, longer time to move, and it has less turret traverse.
Yeah.
So
I think kind of how I felt when I was shooting it was I felt pretty confident I was going to hit the center of the reticle, but I knew there was this off chance that there was going to be a shell that was just going to fly and hit somebody else that I didn't want to hit at all because that circle was just so big. But I felt pretty confident about it.
Yeah, every once in a while a shot flies off, and we'll get off this subject fairly quickly so Sylvia can stop crying.
Is he crying right now?
The one real interesting thing I've
It's
noticed is
important.
it takes some time to get used to when you load up into a matchmaker, and then you're like, whoa, two top tanks are artillery? You're like, oh, right, they rebalanced all the tiers. So they all work similarly. So tier 10, like, it now has tier 10 tank destroyer or SPGs in it. And quite frankly, in terms of matchmaking, how that's going to play out in public matches with players in tier 10 already, players in tier 8 already in the same match, and like all this other stuff going on. Less tier 10 tanks out there now that there are tier 10 artillery sharing it. So you have like five, six real tier 10s and then two tier 10 or SPGs. It's going to be crazy
Hmm.
because somebody who sucks in an SPG being on your team is going to get you're going to lose
Yeah.
because you're using one of your tier 10 spots for that guy, and if he can't hit it and the other team's guy can, it's even more of a problem than it was before. I'm just really glad I don't play 9 and 10 because they're going to be so much worse than they already are, and they're so bad right now. But
Hmm.
I want to repeat myself saying that still playing a lottery with Artie and still doing a lot of damage. And one shot from a really bad player, but he gets lucky and hits the target and kills the target and wins the game in a 742 format, especially. Just it sucks losing to that. Really does, because one guy made the shot, the other guy, well, didn't. And what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So damage, I think damage needs to be lowered still. Just not by much, but so that you don't have one-shot tank, kills for tier 8s.
I agree. I'd like to see damage lowered and them actually be a little bit more accurate. I'm fine with them being able to hit you if you're sitting still or even if you're moving, as long as they're not one-shotting your tank, just totally ruining you. If it's just a tank that doesn't need line of sight and it does fairly average damage for that tier, like 300 or 400 or so at tier 8, that's that's pretty perfectly balanced if you ask me. You have got plenty of trade-offs and you're not one-shotting anything. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that punishes you for playing stagnant or not moving around. I totally agree with that. I don't care if I do massive amounts of damage. Um, but if I can't hit anything or it takes forever to move around, then I mean, what's my effectiveness? You might as well bring a regular tank.
I
Right.
I've
And then it's that
I've been
psychological
saying that all the
advantage.
time.
That psychological advantage of you can't sit still because you're going to get dunked by Artie and stuff like that. I think that's a real big thing for a lot of strategies and whatnot. And um, we may see some people trying to abuse hull down tactics and stuff like that, sniping over long distances, but artillery is still effective enough.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it factors now into the point system now for the tournaments when we have the distribution is a lot different. Obviously, with like tier 6 being replaced by some tanks with significantly less damage and accuracy than what the GWP had. It'll be interesting to see how exactly all that fits in with what we start bringing for tank picks. So
Well, there's really going to be only like two Artie maps now, uh, Prokhorovka and Steps.
yeah,
If you think about it, other than that, the maps that we used to bring Artie to will most likely be relooked just because of the way the lower tier Artie has been rebalanced.
yeah, yeah. You bring low tier already on like Lakeville or something else like that. It's gonna take forever to hit anything. Things are gonna move too fast for those slow shells. So all right, I think that's enough for talking about 8.6 for now. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit more information. I think you said you were gonna look into something else, but I totally forgot what you were saying earlier. You might have more information on something next week. You said
Who's you?
Who's you?
Soviets. You.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm tired.
Okay. Well, yeah. What what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and read up on camo values a little bit
That
more
that was
just
it.
to see how the system works in 8.6. But I've already heard there's gonna be changes, and it doesn't look like this patch is coming. It doesn't look like this patch is close enough to be released next week, for example. So don't expect it. I don't. Well, I honestly don't think we won't see it until at least 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's going to affect Nvidia in some way midway through that tournament because you're going to have like all these finals done this certain way, and then surprise, everything's changed. So
Yeah, and there's the weird thing where everybody's on GeForce accounts for the NVIDIA tournament, and I don't think those have any free XP. So when all the tanks
mm,
change, it's like, yeah, you can use any of the tanks you used to have,
yeah,
but that's it.
you know all those new artillery changes. I hope you have those.
They should go through and automatically sell everybody's M40, M43.
You have major love for that tank. I know. I know.
First thing I did when I got on test was see what tier it was now, and it's 8. And I was like, it's not gone! No! It's worse in almost every regard, but still, somebody's going to bring it, somebody's going to click it, and 90% of the time it's going to miss. But that that one time when you shoot it and it does hit, it's going to one-shot one of our tanks. It's probably going to be me.
The tiers. It probably will be you or Soviet.
From
Soviet.
like, it'll land like 10 meters away and I'll explode.
Yeah.
Then I will explode.
Yeah, we've actually had
No.
that exact instance happen. All right, let's go and get off all that. We'll just go to Q&A now. I think we're good for this week. So closing it out, we have of course Soviet Nagatron and myself Relics here. Thanks for watching episode 9. We will go to Q&A. Make sure you follow us on Twitch down there somewhere. We have a Facebook, which is slash Fulcrum Gaming, I think. All right.
I don't know
Q&A.
what you were failing that about. I was laughing at Soviets' faces.
Soviet has interesting faces, to say the least. I don't think we have any real Q&As here.
Loads of chat.
Question.
Present thine
Guys,
questions.
once again, though, one thing to remember at 9 p.m. today, day 2 of the qualifiers for WGLNA are coming up.
Yes, yes.
I've been
Tune in.
practicing saying WGLNA in the car. I'll be sitting in traffic. WGLNA, WGLNA,
I'm,
WGLNA.
I'm gonna nail saying this acronym.
That's twitch.tv/WGLNA. Tune in, subscribe, support them, because supporting them supports the game and us,
And us,
but the game,
indirectly.
which means you.
And we'll be in the chat too, so you can talk with us in there about what's going on.
746 format. Siliaris is asking. We did, I think, run into it. Was it 46?
No, we only stepped up to
44.
44.
Mm-hmm.
46.
I think somebody had talked about that at some point to see like if you could bring higher low tiers after
Let-
the artillery changes, but
Let the experimentation go to our younger servers because I know that North America used to be the server to experiment stuff with, and hopefully
give it to
we
the
grew out of
Koreans.
that.
He's saying give it to the Koreans.
Give it to the C server, whatever servers they have there, whatever they call them. Give it to them,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Gator
we can
boy.
see. Huh?
I think he's yelling at Patton again.
Gator Boy, we are no longer affiliated with any clans aside from ourselves, technically. We did make a clan, Fulcrum, FLCRM, but it's just 9 of us. That's it. We're not doing
Yeah.
clan wars anymore.
We could take over the entire map with 9, I think. Although it's only 9 ships, so we probably can only take
This
one
guy forgets
territory.
about tank locking already.
We have plenty of tanks. We can just buy a few more.
We were in Forge, Gator Boy.
Yes.
Got a link to the Russian site. Siliaris, which Russian site are you talking about?
I
Maybe
think he means the Russian version of the WGLNA, which there is not one.
Yes, there is.
there's the Golden League.
WGLeague.ru.
Right. That's not WGLNA.
It's the Russian
Like you
version.
know how Dorjan does the English version of the Golden League for us? I think
Oh,
he's asking for a Russian version of the American League for him.
oh.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, there isn't one
Well,
of those.
I did hear that perhaps, well, Russian streamers might come over and check out some of our games.
How
Yeah.
Interesting.
Masluki, I kind of agree that it might be a little bit late, but we don't really know exactly how everything's going to run because I think yesterday they went a little bit later than they expected because people were taking their time to pick tanks.
Well, anytime you run a tournament through a training room, which is their only option right now, that's not their fault. It takes a lot of time, especially just to get the teams in, teams ready. It's such a headache. You would think, oh, we put out the invite and they're just waiting and they click it, but no, no, no. What really happens is they're like, I've been here a whole 3 minutes waiting for my match. I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I think I'm gonna fix a sandwich, and I'm gonna run to the store and get some beer. And they come back and it's like, well, we've been waiting for you for 10 minutes and we couldn't move on because you weren't here. And they're like, oh well, I'm here now. Let's go. You're like,
Yeah.
And then some other guy went to like a smoke break or
right. And then
something.
he's like, well, he was gone, so I got my nails done.
It's gonna come down. Two things to remember. First of all, it was their first time streaming World of Tanks, pretty much on that scale ever. And second of all, these are the qualifiers. Perhaps some of the teams are not have never done this before, you know, so they're maybe not aware. There's a lot of rules misinterpretation going on. So once we get into the actual league, and by that time, of course, that's pretty much a month from now,
Hmm.
it's going to be much, much better quality, and all the guys are very excited for it. The NASL guys are excited about the way the first day went, and they already know a bunch of stuff they're going to improve. So even today, I'm sure we'll see some of those improvements already implemented into today's stream.
Some other interesting things to point out. Since we're watching qualifier teams, they're not already in the league. They're a little bit hesitant. Some of them are new, so there will be more draws, which is going to make things take longer. And that's all stuff that's going to get sorted out as time goes on. The WGLA, LNA league guys, um, they'll be streamlining the process. But this is just kind of like, I wouldn't say quite a test run, but it's not 100%. They're looking to get 100% when the actual league itself starts. So we're not quite there yet. I think they did a fantastic job in general. Obviously, they don't know the game quite as well as some of the other ones you may have heard before. Like I know some of you were just saying that you prefer like when we cast or something like that. But I can tell you right now that I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where we can put together the kind of production that they can. That's incredible.
Hmm.
And all they have to do is really just get a feel for the game, watch it some more, and that's not going to take them very long. I mean, a lot of these guys are pro or near pro players in plenty of other games, more complicated games in some ways, like StarCraft.
Hmm.
You can cast that, please. It's only a matter of time until you can cast tanks. So I think it's really going to pick off. You were saying time's a problem for you. I know that they rebroadcast those the day after, around noon Pacific, I think. Um, Oh man, I wish I had a website for you or something. But they do rebroadcast that stuff, and if it's not rebroadcasted, it's on their VODs, their videos on demand,
Yeah.
and they upload those in the highest quality. So you won't have to miss it at any point in time.
Yeah. Dr. Dan's got a question. I know we all think the Wargaming League North America is going to propel World of Tanks esports in the U.S. How far do you think that will go? I think it's going to go really far. I think this is just the first step to getting a lot more professional teams and getting a lot of people signed. I think they're up to like all the professional teams, like the main teams in Europe, are all signed now. Is what Dorjan was saying in his last video. So I think that's going to start migrating over here pretty quick, especially if they start getting press out for everything. What do you guys think? Think this is the beginning of something big. Tap to tap tap.
I think sky's the limit as long as there's consistency and things continue to improve. You can't stagnate in certain areas, and I think Wargaming knows about it. They're concentrating on esports more and more now. Uh, Even in some cases, I think even they prioritize esports now more. So that's a great sign. The fact that the teams are getting signed as well, well, it's just going to, build a bigger following. And you guys as players, Dr. Dan, you should know that the game is awesome and it deserves attention. And in US particularly, I think esports is probably the key to a market because it will, uh, motivate players to, well, even newer players to actually give this game a try and take it seriously instead of just, oh, World of Tanks, oh, yay, and that's it. So I hope that the consistency is going to be there to keep going over the years, to keep growing, to keep that momentum going.
All right, one more question, and then we will go ahead and shut this down. I think we have Nvidia coming up soon, right? So last question: who do you believe is your most challenging opponent in the Wargaming League North America tournament?
Well, first off, we don't actually know who is in the WGLNA tournament yet. They're still doing qualifiers. Although I think it's probably safe to assume that one of our biggest competitors will be one of the 8 that are already accepted. However, River of Blood is one of the teams in qualifiers, and I think they're going to qualify. And traditionally, they've been a fantastic team in terms of their preparation and their coordination. A lot of the times, they make strategies that are not nearly as obvious, and they're very intelligent when you look at them afterwards. Um, Often more so than other teams. So I think if they buckle down and they really make a solid try at this and have fun with it, they could be a serious competitor. But other than that, I think history has shown that Simp is generally our nemesis in terms of top competition. But there's always other great
Mm-hmm.
teams out there. Wreak Havoc obviously stepped it up. Um,
Big time. Yeah.
whole top 8 really. Pub stars, they're all getting better.
Yep. And yeah, so that'll be. Let me make sure there's no other really good questions. Da, 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 da. Uh,
I I want to add on to that though, real quick,
Go for it.
real real quick. I think the main thing for us as a team is to continue making fun of relics and improving our gameplay because we have to carry him. We're really playing 6 men versus 7, so a lot
Mm-hmm.
of pressure
Mm-hmm.
on the 6 to carry the 1, and yeah,
Here, I thought you were about to make an international thing and say that our real target is Rush or
the
something like that, and I
well,
was like, man,
it
oh
is, but
man.
the guy, he asked about WGLNA specifically, so I was gonna say Rush Gra and Gra TM, but
Definitely love to see how not only us but everybody in the world matches up against each other. I'd really, really like to see other teams from North America make some sort of international tournament. Like obviously not at the cost of us, but if we go to some sort of WCG or international tournament where perhaps there's 3 or 4 of the top teams from North America facing off against Europe and Russia, and eventually China and North Korea as well. Um,
North Korea.
South Korea. I definitely want to see us play North Korea because I think
The
that would be
best team
hilarious.
ever.
Like, this is a funny looking radio. Um,
Our team is ran by God.
uh, anyway, anyways, I'd really like to see where those other teams stack up as well, because right now we only know how we stack up against them, and then how we stack up against the international teams, kind of from like one tournament that we've had against them. So having more consistent competition and really finding out where all of the best teams in the world rank amongst each other, I think could be really interesting, because I think the top teams from each one would probably be near the top, and I think there'd be a lot of middle and lower teams spread out evenly as well. I think the different divisions are a little bit closer than people think. However, Russia is still undoubtedly the best across the board.
Yeah.
Tiny rumor that I heard that perhaps we'll see a some sort of a tournament in our trip to Minsk.
Oh, really? Ah.
We shall see.
Game on, sons.
It's called the Farva drinking tournament, and we all lose.
The tournament is: do you survive leaving Minsk? Good times. All right. Well, I think that's everything we have. I think we're done with any questions. So, thanks for joining us on episode 9, and we will see you next week. Uh, hopefully on Wednesday. We'll set up another time because we don't want to interrupt with Wargaming League North America's stream. So we'll have to figure out if maybe we'll do Tuesday instead or something. I'll make a post on the forums like I usually do. We'll get some kind of date set. And yeah, so
I have an idea.
cool. So thanks again for joining me, Soviet Nagatron. Say goodbye to our lovely people.
Пока.
Goodbye.
All right, see you guys next week.